Have you ever felt like no matter how many books you read, videos you watch, or podcasts you listen to about money, you still end up broke? Like, you know what you should do, but somehow the money just slips through your fingers? Maybe you've tracked your spending, built a budget, even started investing, and yet, by the end of the month, you're left staring at your bank account, wondering where it all went. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and it's not your fault. If you're new here, I break down financial psychology, money habits, and investing in a way that actually makes sense for everyday working people. I post weekly videos exploring how our minds and money interact, so you can make smarter, calmer choices and finally feel a little more in control. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Knowing about money isn't the same as being able to use money. We all assume that if you understand compound interest, or how to make a budget, or the basics of investing, you should automatically get ahead financially. But in reality, there's a massive gap between understanding and doing. And that gap? It's built into how we think, how we feel, and how our brains respond to money. Money is emotional, not just logical. You can memorize every tip in every financial book ever written, but if your habits and mindset don't align, that knowledge doesn't actually translate into progress. Most people blame themselves. I'm just bad with money, we say. But really, the system and our own psychology is designed in a way that keeps these struggles alive. Our brains are wired to avoid pain, seek comfort, and prioritize short-term satisfaction over long-term gain. That's not a flaw, it's human nature. Let's break this down. Imagine you just got your paycheck. You've worked hard, maybe even sacrificed a lot, but almost instantly your brain starts running scenarios. Rent is due, groceries are needed, bills piling up, maybe even a little online shopping for something that makes you feel good. Every decision you make is influenced by a mix of survival instincts and emotional triggers. That's why even the best budgets fail. You aren't just trying to manage numbers. You're negotiating with your own habits, your stress, your desires, and sometimes your past experiences with money. Think about it this way. Say you learned about investing. You know that putting money in an index fund early will grow over decades thanks to compound interest. Logical brain says, invest now. Emotional brain says, what if I need this cash tomorrow? What if the market crashes? And guess which one usually wins? Now layer in social pressures. Friends buying new cars, family expecting financial help, ads everywhere convincing you that your worth is tied to what you own. All of this reinforces the cycle. The more you know, the more you stress because your actions don't match your knowledge. And that stress makes it even harder to make smart choices. Here's another piece most people overlook. Habits beat knowledge. You can read every personal finance blog and still never save a dime if your habits don't support it. Paying yourself first, automating savings, avoiding impulse purchases, these aren't glamorous tips. They're the small, consistent actions that quietly separate people who build wealth from those who stay stuck. And it's not just habits, it's mindset. How do you feel about money? Safe? Anxious? Guilty? Every emotional belief you have around money shapes your behavior. Maybe growing up, money was always scarce, or someone in your family struggled financially. Those experiences leave a subconscious imprint. You can study finance for years and still make the same mistakes if you haven't addressed those underlying beliefs. So here's the shift. You stop treating financial knowledge as a silver bullet. You stop expecting that learning more will automatically fix your problems. Knowledge is important, but it's the behavioral bridge between knowing and doing that matters most. Start thinking about money as a reflection of your choices and your mindset, not as a scoreboard of your worth, not as a source of shame, but as a tool you can slowly train, like a muscle. Every small action, saving $20 a week, resisting an impulse buy, automating a bill, strengthens that muscle. Over time, those small, seemingly insignificant actions compound into real change. And here's the most liberating part. You don't need perfection. You don't need to never make mistakes. You just need to understand why the mistakes happen and start aligning your habits with your goals. That's what separates people who stay broke from people who slowly but surely grow financial stability and peace of mind. So, what does this look like in your everyday life? First, acknowledge the emotional side of money. Notice when you're making decisions out of fear, stress, or social pressure, and pause before acting. Awareness alone can change behavior dramatically. Second, simplify your system. Automate savings, automate bills, reduce friction for positive financial actions, and increase friction for negative ones. Make good habits easy and bad habits slightly harder. It's not exciting, but it works. Third, set realistic goals. Forget the hype of getting rich quickly. Focus on incremental progress. Can you save a small percentage this month or pay down one debt? Can you start investing even $50 a month? These are tangible wins that build momentum. Fourth, track habits, not just numbers. How often are you sticking to your plan? Where are you slipping? Tracking behavior rather than obsessing over net worth or income shifts your focus to what you can actually control. Finally, give yourself grace. Changing money habits is like rewiring your brain. Old patterns are sticky. Expect some setbacks. The key is persistence, not perfection. Here's the thing I want you to leave with. Being broke isn't just about poor choices or ignorance. It's about the invisible tug of war between your emotions, your habits, and your knowledge. Understanding that makes the struggle less shameful and more actionable. You're not broken. You're learning. Every small change, every tiny habit you reinforce is quietly shifting the trajectory of your financial life. And over time, those changes accumulate into something meaningful. A little more control, a little less anxiety, and a sense that maybe, just maybe, money doesn't have to feel so stressful anymore. So don't measure progress in leaps and bounds. Measure it in consistent, calm steps forward. That's where freedom, stability, and peace of mind live. And the good news? You can start today, right where you are.